The 2016 Macroeconomic and Financial Management Institute of Eastern and Southern Africa (MAFMI) Combined Forum saw an intensive discussion on the fundamental issues pertaining to public-private sector partnerships, PPPs. The global financier, the World Bank, has in the recent past highlighted while PPPs have become popular, designing, structuring and implementing the concept remains a complex undertaking. World Bank Group Public-Private Partnerships Practice Manager Mr. Clive Harris rallied the Ministers of Finance and Central Bank Governors who graced the combined forum to strengthen risk mitigation mechanisms and proper handling of unsolicited projects.
And we know some countries have got hundreds of unsolicited projects on someone's desk, which are beginning to clog up the system. A key part of this is a good assessment of whether the project is in line with national priorities. Certainly there should at least be a really strong effort to see whether competitive tension can be introduced. Sometimes it doesn't make sense. And if you look at the World Bank procurement guidelines, they have cases where you don't have to have competition, but you have to have super strong justifications for that. So a good effort to see, is it possible to take this idea and bid it out and get somebody to see if there's others you're interested in doing it. We see that one thing that's come out of the country experience is that a right to match is not very effective in getting in competition, perhaps not surprisingly. And you need sufficient time for potential bidders to do due diligence. Now, a key in all of this is to get in good advice. People will say, well, unsolicited projects is a good route when you don't have capacity. I would not agree, and I think the experience shows it isn't that. You probably won't get a good deal. Hire in expertise. MDBs can help on that. IFC Advisory is quite happy to help on this sort of thing. Transaction advisors, particularly when you're even if you're trying to benchmark a directly negotiated deal.
According to Mr. Harris, studies by the World Bank indicates that there is need to improve decision-making on PPPs and enhancing of risk mitigation measures.
The primary thing, the most important one, is a need for realism about the potential for PPPs in different infrastructure sectors and what it takes to get them done. And what it takes to get them done doesn't just include support from DFIs and MDBs, as you'll see from the data, that's very important in this region. But it also includes a focus on sector reforms and related issues. Secondly, we would say that a critical factor is improving decision-making around projects. And we say that because the earlier you can get good decisions about which projects to do and which projects to do as PPPs, and in our view, most of the time those are separate decision points, the higher the chances of success. And then finally, we believe that greater transparency in the way PPPs are identified, prepared, procured, and managed will be extremely beneficial for everybody involved, the private sector, the users of the services, and for governments.
The World Bank official challenged the MAFMI member countries to make use of various guidelines developed by the global financial institutions pertaining to disclosure, contractual provisions, and procurement in public-private sector projects.
We talked a bit about decision-making and how we certainly see our role in the World Bank Group not to promote PPPs. We're called a PPP group, but we're not here to promote them per se. What we'd like to do is help the World Bank staff and managers and also our clients make better decisions around when to do projects as PPPs and how to implement them if they're done as PPPs. And we developed a set of tools along with many of the other multilateral development banks. So the first one is a country PPP readiness diagnostic, which is a holistic look at how PPPs are done in a country and what are the binding constraints to either expanding the program, making it function better. We have an infrastructure prioritization framework which tries to look at basic information on infrastructure projects and give you a first cut on priorities. We are doing work with the other MDBs to develop a set of recommended PPP contractual provisions for some of the boilerplate things that are always in contracts, which we think will simplify and speed things up. Some of you may already have linked up with the International Infrastructure Support System, which is a platform that all the MDBs are backing, in which governments will put project data at the early concept stage, but it's sufficiently detailed that it will reveal to the private sector that governments have thought about many of the key issues.
The participants at the combined forum showed a lot of interest on the strategies to handle unsolicited projects as well as bidding out of projects from private sector. The World Bank assured the participants it will continue to build capacity to plan and execute public-private sector projects.